Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. All right, NTT Indy Car, race number 12 of the 2026 season, the Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix from Nashville Super Speedway. 7-4 on my picks here in 2026. This is the 11th race at the Nashville Super Speedway for the NTT Indy Car. 399.9 miles, 300 laps. This is the longest race under 2-mile track in IndyCar history. I thought that's what the stat said. I saw online. Now, when it comes to pit strategy, we talk about that a lot with IndyCar. 3-stop, 4-stop, whatever it's going to be. Now, because the race was shorter as well, the top 8 did 4 stops in 2025. So I think 4 stops and even a 5-stop strategy will be the deal here in 2026. Now, 9 through 12 last year did 5 stops. It was 100 miles, it was 75 miles less last year. So we may even see a 6-stop strategy with this one. One of 11 drivers started outside the top 6 has ever won at Nashville Super Speedway in the Indy Car Series. And that was 2024. Colton Herta started 11th. So if you look at the history on this track of Indy cars, one person has won from the pole, 1 from 3rd, 2 from 4th, 3 from 5th, 2 from 6th. Now, if we look at the Fast 6 yesterday, Kyle Kirkwood, Joseph Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin, Alex Palou, Scott Dixon, and Alexander Rossi were the top 6. So if you look at the history again, 10 of 11 started within the top 6 have won a Nashville Super Speedway in the past. And then last year, Colton Herta started 11th and won. This year, 11th is Santino Ferrucci. So I would not be shocked if the winner comes from the top Fast 6 as well again this year. Now, if we look at ovals, we look at the last 16 ovals for IndyCar. Pat O'Ward, average finish is 7.62 and 2 wins. Scott McLaughlin, 8.25 and 2 wins. Alex Palou, 8.5 and 2 wins. Santino Ferrucci, 8.62. Scott Dixon, 8.81. Joseph Newgarden, 10.31 but 5 wins. Christian Rasmussen, 11.0 and a win. Connor Daly, 11.3. Rinus VeeKay, 11.75. David Malukas, 12.06. Coming off that huge practice crash history from Malukas, looks like the Team Penske put out a statement on X. He was cleared from the released from the hospital. All the X-rays were negative. He was back at the track for practice last night. Will be at the race today. Great news for him. Great news. That was a horrifying incident. I saw some replays online and was like, held my breath almost. I'm like, is he okay? You know, and that's the biggest thing about some of these accidents like that. He seems fine. That's great. He took a huge hit, so I'm glad he's okay. I'm glad he's able to race today and cleared. Everything was negative. Kirkwood, average finish 12.12 with a win. Now, if we break that 16 down to 8, and we'll also break it down to 4, we kind of see, obviously, the cream rises to the top. That's one thing I love about the NTT Indy Car Series here in 2026. 6 ovals, 6 road courses, 6 street courses. All 3 disciplines are different. So who runs well in ovals typically doesn't run well in the straight courses, and vice versa. You always have that kind of niche guy who runs 2 or 3 guys that run well at each different variation of tracks. Having Phoenix on the track, obviously Indianapolis, Nashville. What's the other? My brain just like stuff. I forgot what the ovals were this year. Let's look at the schedule real quick here. Here we go. So we got Phoenix, Indianapolis, Worldwide Technology, Nashville, and then 2 races at the Milwaukee Mile in late August. Right before the finale there at Laguna Seca. So yeah, these ovals are an important part of the IndyCar schedule. Hopefully next year they can add a couple more. I love seeing the doubleheaders with NASCAR, and so I love to see a NASCAR doubleheader on a street course. Maybe at Long Beach, but you know, as a NASCAR guy, that's kind of where I want. Obviously becoming an IndyCar guy in the last few years, doing these videos this year. Now, the last 8 races on the ovals, Pat O'Ward, 7.0 average finish with a win. Alex Palou, 8.25 with a win. Marcus Armstrong, 8.62. Scott Dixon, 8.87. David Malukas, 9.25. Joseph Newgarden, 9.37 with 3 wins. The biggest thing about Joseph Newgarden is it's like it's either feast or famine. He's either winning these ovals or he's having some bad luck. Scott McLaughlin 9.5, Connor Daly 9.83, Santino Ferrucci 10.25, Kyle Kirkwood 10.87 with a win. He's on the pole today, so that's actually great for him. See if he can, because the last four, when we get there, he's been really well. Christian Rasmussen 11.12 in the win. Now those last four, again, that's going to be the ones from this year, and I think that we go back to the one from last year. Let me pull up, see which four ovals that is. I forgot to write it down. All right, so those last four ovals for IndyCar were going to be this race last year in Nashville, Phoenix this year, Indianapolis 500, and then Worldwide Technology. Scott McLaughlin averaged 4.75 finish in those four races. Kyle Kirkwood 7.5 average finish in those four races. Sixth, a second, 16th, and a sixth, while McLaughlin had four top 8 finishes. Joseph Newgarden, he's won 3 of the 4, but he has an average finish of 7.75. He was 28th at the Indy 500. Connor Daly 8.5. Felix Rehnquist 8.5 with that big win at the Indy 500. Marcus Armstrong 9.5. Dave Malukas 9.5. Santino Ferrucci 10.0. Paddle Award 10.75, Rinus VK 11.25. Now, if we look at the just 2 races at Nashville, Joseph Newgarden has an average finish of 2.0 with a win. Scott McLaughlin 4.0, Kyle Kirkwood 5.0, Alex Palou 6.5, Santino Ferrucci 7.0, Connor Daly 7.5, Alex Rossi 12.5, Rinus VK 12.5. Now, the last 2 races have been on the oval for the last 2 years at Nashville. The year before that, for a few years, they were on the street course, which I actually like both. I wish they could kind of do both. But I know they don't want to go into the same market twice. That's not something, I mean, beyond Indianapolis, but that's obviously the home of IndyCar racing. So, all right, after 11 races, Alex Palou has a 56-point lead with those 4 wins over Kyle Kirkwood, who's second with a win. Christian Lundgaard second, minus 65. David Malukas is fourth, minus 66. Paddle Award with a win, minus 94. Joseph Newgarden with 2 wins, minus 134. Felix Rehnquist with a win, minus 139. Scott McLaughlin, minus 142. Scott Dixon, minus 180. Marcus Ericsson, minus 182. And 11th in points right now, Rinus VK, minus 185. And then Marcus Armstrong is 12th in points, also minus 185. All right, so as I take all those stats into consideration, figure out who my 3 picks are. Now, if you are new to Rubber Sports Show, welcome. I do NASCAR previews, so I do stuff for pro wrestling, I do IndyCar previews, football as well. On the NASCAR side, I do 4 picks because there is a 36-car field, up to 40-car field at some points. With IndyCar, since the field is always going to be less, I do just 3 picks. Again, I am 7-4 on those picks here in 2026. Thanks to Alex Palou on a lot of those. So the 3 picks to win the Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix from Nashville Superspeedway, Paddle Award, Joseph Newgarden, and Alex Palou. Would not be shocked if a Kyle Kirkwood or even David Malukas coming from the back of the pack. I could see him with something to prove. With the race being 75 laps more than last year, I can see a 6-stop strategy being the way to go here. Divide this pie in 6, and let's go racing, boys. All right, that is the Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix preview. As always, thanks for watching Rubber Sports Show. Don't just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Rubber Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports and content.